from the thousands of species into the UK, preventing British hunters from bringing the body parts of lions, elephants and giraffes into the UK. Why would you want to do that anyway? I have literally no idea. Let's talk more, should we, with Eduardo Gonçalves, founder of the campaign to ban trophy hunting. We've sat here many times talking about this. You must be thrilled at this news.
Well, it was fantastic because there was a big turnout in Parliament and MPs voted unanimously. And this is the toughest ban in the world. And anyone who tries to get around it could face 7 years in jail. And the reason it's important is that Britain's trophy hunters are amongst the worst in the world. So there's a British man from Gloucester, arguably the #2 trophy hunter on the planet right now. There's a London woman who's been voted the world's top female trophy hunter. And so, yes,
her family must be so proud.
Well, absolutely. And British hunters are shooting literally thousands of some of the most endangered and protected species on Earth. So, yes, lions and elephants and hippos, but even polar bears and cheetahs and black rhinos.
Why would you shoot a cheetah?
Well, isn't it extraordinary? And some of the people, they shoot them because they are rare and because they are on the brink of disappearing or because they're extra special. So, for example, there's a British company that's just launched rhino shooting holidays. And you can even go and shoot white lions. They've been bred specially. And it's just so somebody can boast, look, I've got something that you don't have.
Not everybody agrees with you, as you know, Eduardo. Oxford University professor Amy Dickman says, she's an expert in lion conservation. She says this bill will kill more animals than it will save.
Interesting. Well, Oxford University, they were the ones who actually did the study about Cecil. They remember Cecil, the lion that was shot back in 2015 by that American dentist. Well, Oxford University was doing a study of why were lion populations going down so fast. And they have, because in the 1970s there were 200,000 lions. Now there's about 20,000. And what the conclusions of that study were was that trophy hunting was the leading cause. And that's been backed up, for example, by the IUCN, the global conservation body. The leader of the Red List team, so it assesses what are the conservation threats to different species, it said absolutely trophy hunting is linked to the decline. A study by the US Congress has said the same. You know, we face an extinction emergency, and trophy hunting is making a bad situation worse.
Well, it's not just Professor Dickman. Also, representatives of South African countries have written an open letter to Andrew Mitchell, the Minister for Africa and Development. They say the bill will negatively impact both the conservation of wildlife and the livelihoods.
You know, some of the first messages of congratulations that I got from on Friday after the vote were from jubilant people in Africa. I had messages from former African presidents, tribal leaders and ordinary people. Interestingly, there was a poll in South Africa recently by Ipsos that we've all heard of, showed 7 out of 10 Africans are opposed to trophy hunting. Of course they are. They don't want people turning up from abroad to come and shoot animals just for fun, which they're not even allowed to kill for food if they're hungry. Can you imagine if plane loads of Africans were to turn up in a Hampshire village one day with armed to the teeth with rifles and started shooting all the local animals? Of course, there'd be a petition or two about that. That's exactly how the majority of Africans feel about it.
Looking at this fantastic leopard, my goodness, how beautiful is that, and lots of other animals as well. When these animals are shot, how do they get them back into the UK?
They usually fly them in through Heathrow. And in fact, there are logistics companies in Britain which help trophy hunters to bring their animals home. And you have companies in Britain which are amongst the world's top taxidermists. In fact, there was a company not long ago in Britain that was voted or won the prize for being the best trophy taxidermist in the world. So Britain is very much at the heart of this industry. In fact, to this day, probably the world's record-holding trophy hunter, I mean, he's deceased now, but he was British. And he shot 1,500 rhinos, 1,400 elephants, and 600 lions. You know, these people are shooting the world's wildlife to extinction.
The bill will now go before the House of Lords. What's the likelihood of it passing?
Well, I hope it's got a good chance of passing because it was voted unanimously by MPs, the democratically elected chamber. In fact, it was unanimous at second reading and at third reading. And don't forget, this is a government bill. It's a government-drafted bill. It was a manifesto commitment. It was also the manifesto of the Labour Party, supported by every single party in Parliament. And it's supported by 9 out of 10 voters. Plus, the government held a really wide-ranging consultation on this. 44,000 stakeholders, of which 85%, including scientists and African leaders, said they agreed with the ban. So I hope it goes forward.
We're out of time. What's your favourite animal?
I'd say probably a cheetah.
A cheetah? Oh, not a leopard.
Close second would be the Iberian lynx.
Oh, okay. Mike, do you know what mine is?
Tell me.
A warthog.
Ah,
I love
they are
warthogs.
gorgeous.
Yeah, they are. And they're very naughty and mischievous. I
Yeah.
don't know why I like them. It's nice to see you as always, Eduardo. Stay with us for just a second, if you would. Coming up